Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast series, Research Mavericks. Our goal is to have thought provoking discussions around research and give our audience a glimpse into cutting edge research shaping our future. We hope you get inspired by the extraordinary work of the Research Mavericks we interview here on the podcast. You can follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. Hi, Sanjay. Welcome to the second episode of Research Mavericks. We are really excited to have you here. Just for the audience, I want to let everyone know that Sanjay has guided Voxco over the years and he has been an advisor to me and the company over the past few years. So we are happy to do this today, Sanjay, with you. And as you know, the theme of the podcast is around research. Your expertise in this space across the verticals is going to be great for the listeners to get different perspectives around your background. So, if it's okay, Sanjay, if you don't mind, let's get started and introduce yourself. How did you get into the space of, call it, customer research?
Thank you, Sumit. Currently, I have the privilege and honor of leading a business called as Artemis Health. We serve employers and their partners like brokers and consultants with benefit analytics. This journey has been exceptionally, full of privilege for me as I look at, my first gig where I used to be on a shop floor working on problems like plant redesign. Coming from my academic background in mechanical engineering and manufacturing. But then, as you look at problems like processes in manufacturing or banking or anywhere, you start, for instance, looking at technology automation. And that's what happened to me. I went from manufacturing to insurance and processes like claims. One thing led to another, and I just kept going on in terms of technology strategy and product management. But at my heart, I have always remained focused on, solving problems in a given domain using technology so that you ultimately, reduce cost, improve outcomes, and bring innovative solutions. So I worked in large companies like IBM, a startup which got acquired by IBM, in healthcare, if you will, across a number of companies, including an insurance carrier, because healthcare always seemed like this opportunity where, at least in my lifetime, we were going to see disruption on an ongoing basis. Very excited to, keep moving the needle.
Thank you, Sanjay. That was super helpful. So, given that healthcare is of tremendous importance in North America, Europe, and pretty much everywhere, right? And we, as a company, do want to enable the better experiences for patients, and hence, be a small part of improving the healthcare experience overall. So, maybe if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about what were the use cases for these patient research use cases that you were talking about.
That's a great question. I think of healthcare predominantly, from the point of view of one is on the payer side, which is insurance carriers, and that largely applies to any kind of insurance company, actually. And then on the provider side, which is hospital systems, for example, and even that kind of can apply to kind of, hotels and other ones. But looking at, let's say, on the payer side, when we think of us interacting with a healthcare payer or an insurance company of any kind, typically we have issues with, let's say, bills or claims, and we end up calling, their call center or their claims unit, for support issues related to that bill or claim. And typically, companies want to make sure that that particular issue is resolved the first time around. And if it is not, then you really want to use the power of customer feedback to know how you are doing in terms of addressing issues like those. So the operational data here is basically, your ability to track, support incoming requests or queries or or claims related issues. And then, what you're trying to do is on the feedback side or the customer consumer voice side, you want to initiate, how was that interaction, so that, you are able to put in place, mitigation related to that particular issue, or you can even look at improving some of your processes. Because at the end of the day, the insurance companies, once we buy a product like insurance, we don't interact with the insurance company much, except when we have an issue, right? The whole idea of insurance is to take care of us when we have an issue. And that is where I think this is very important from the point of view of connecting the dots between operational data and the customer consumer feedback. Now, on the provider side, which is, let's say, a hospital, an interesting fact that we don't know is that the lifetime value of a patient in America, for example, is $1.4 million. And you as a hospital system are really looking, especially in a market which is very competitive, to have that loyalty. So most hospital systems measure what can be called as leakage. So you're really measuring if the patients that are coming to you are basically not staying with you for other procedures or for further work on the same procedures, and they're going to other hospital systems. And you do have ability to capture that data. So almost all hospitals have that ability to look at what can be called as patient leakage, or it can be called as churn in other industries. So you really want to, that is the operational data, but then you really want to understand both. One is from an ongoing market feedback as to what is it that is appealing to the consumers in that market about your brand. So that's one way you correlate in terms of customer feedback data. And then second is, you try to reach out to those particular patients who are no longer using our services and try to close the loop in terms of, what is the reason, or what was the trigger for them to kind of, move away from you. So both of these are great examples of, if you will, both on the support side, let's say for an insurance company, and then for a service provider like a hospital system to look at loyalty.
Perfect. Thank you, Sanjay. That was super helpful. You touched upon two very important topics here, right? Customer segmentation and personalization of customer experience.
Yeah.
So maybe we go one step further and use that as a segue to determine challenges in the space. What do you feel are the obstacles to achieve that full 360 view of the customer and to personalize the interactions with the customers? Given that, as you mentioned, to have customers for life, you need to differentiate yourself and you need to have that bond with the customers and say, hey, we got you. It was our mistake in those challenging times. It happens, right, to every single company. And that strong bond is what basically keeps them forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a $900 million question. In terms of the core challenges facing this industry around consumer and customer research. And if I just very honestly reflect, I think it's around two areas, or I may go to the third area if I can gather my thoughts. I think first is it's the platform challenge, and what I mean by that is if you look at the industry, including in consumer areas like hotel and airline, or in healthcare or insurance, you have a lot of legacy platforms where they essentially continue to remain focused on the notion of gathering of feedback and essentially sharing. Here is what the consumer has said. And I think we need that platform to be more expansive, where you do need, even in this time and age, the ability to make telephone calls, to do IVR, to have the ability to, if you will, use text messaging, so and email and so on. So I think there is that omni-channel part of it, which just needs to be very expansive. Second is like the previous exchange on operational to feedback data. you need that underlying plumbing and electrical, which essentially connects that. And which means the machine learning kind of technologies have to be embedded. They need to have the ability to scale those use cases. And then finally, you need the ability to present those insights in a way that the decision makers can make decisions, right? So I think that platform, obviously technologies evolve and these platforms have to be evolving, but the notion that I'm trying to bring in terms of the challenge is the platform needs to be comprehensive and expansive in terms of having that ability to meet consumers where they are at, and then be able to bridge this loyalty bidirectional street with them through these capabilities. The second core challenge I see is I'll extend that notion of personalization to in terms of the challenge here. Ultimately, we are talking about this is a B2B2C kind of a model. You have platforms, for example, serving businesses who then want to serve the consumers. I think there is universal acceptance that these feedback or research need to be personalized. But what it means is these businesses need the ability to configure them based on their unique businesses, because this is a strategic differentiation. Whether it is one hotel brand competing against another hotel brand, whether it is an insurance company or a hospital, whether it is a manufacturer, there is this massive opportunity for them to use consumer research and customer research for differentiation in the market. And each one of them believes, rightly so, that they are unique and their processes are different, and then that they have a different way of addressing this. So they need to have the ability to configure, and I think the tools they need to be able to say, what, I'm going to create a community group, or I'm going to create this workflow. All of that is very important. So I think both of those are, important in terms of the challenges related to consumer research and customer research.
Well said. Well said. On that topic, Sanjay, maybe we talk about the new developments that you're excited about the space, especially to tackle these challenges that we were just talking about.
Yeah, if I think if any of us don't talk about generative AI, it will appear as if we are not in the tech industry. But I am more excited about the use cases related to generative AI. What I mean by that is, I have had many experiences of participating just as a consumer in terms of research from brands that I either work with as a consumer, a hotel or an airline or whatever, for whether it's a customer service issue or otherwise. And I'm just excited that finally there will be more intelligence in the automated interaction between that brand and me. What I mean by that is, when you either are doing a phone call from an IVR standpoint, or you're doing a text messaging bidirectional with a chatbot, many a times you just have this feeling, sinking feeling that this is not an intelligent conversation. Like, I wish that this was better. Another example actually I have is when my wife and I go for our walks. I obviously turn on the outdoor walking thing on my Apple Watch, and sometimes I forget, and then it takes like 15 minutes for it to like literally ping me and say, do you want to record this walk? And gosh, Apple must have, what, I don't know how many billions or trillions of dollars in cash. Couldn't it be more intelligent? And knowing that I live in a hilly area and there is a certain time that I'm going out for walks, and it should just start recording and give me that opportunity. So sometimes I have this feeling just as a consumer that, because as a business person, I lead a business, so I understand we need to bring higher degree of automation. We need more productivity in terms of our businesses. But for that to happen, along with consumer experience being exceptional, we need those automated interactions to be intelligent. I'm hoping that this notion of generative AI and all the money that is getting pumped in is going to finally lead to these interactions being more intelligent. Because at the end of the day, if I'm spending more time and if I'm getting less happiness through this automated intelligence, through this automated interaction, then technology has failed in my view. So I'm excited about that, certainly. The second is consumerization of analytics. So we have seen BI tools being used for a long time for operational reporting and financial reporting and enterprise reporting. And when you look at the world of, let's say, consumer research, consumer feedback, everyone who is a stakeholder, be it a person in marketing, be it a person who is the chief quality officer, be it the chief consumer officer, be it the person at the general manager of the front desk or whatever, all these people have the ability to make decisions to either improve the process, which will lead to exceptional consumer experience, or change the process, or bring in new solutions. And for that to happen, they need to have easy ability to make decisions using data. And these analytics that we provide through sentiments and consumer voices and so on and so forth, are really great opportunities for them to use. So I'm excited about the ability to have that consumerization of analytics for decision making related to consumer research and customer research.
Amen to that. Sanjay, one question that came from the audience to wrap it up, to wrap our second podcast here. What is a question you wish I asked you?
Okay, that's a that's a great question. What do I do for fun? Is something you could have asked me.
Let's ask you that. What do you do for fun?
Well, I obviously love to spend a ton of time with my family and all of that. That to me is, in a way, sort of just relaxation and venting from the day to day that goes on. But I love to one is travel. For me, that is kind of fun because I'm not a very serious traveler from the point of view of spending the whole day in Metropolitan Museum. I think I'll get bored after 2 or 3 hours, at a museum. But I enjoy it tremendously in terms of connecting the dots. So I love that. That's one of my fun activities. So we travel a lot. Second is I enjoy, having events and parties with friends, family, and scheduling those. And you will, irrespective of whether I'm in high spirits or no, you will see me grooving to some Bollywood music there. So those are some of the things that make my life fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. On that point, one last question, and we will wrap it up after that, I promise. What is your next trip planned?
We have two trips. One is we're just going to do the city of Denver. We have done Colorado, but we have not been like in the city and just experience. And Denver is one of the most fascinating places in my view, for how it has evolved in the last few years. And second is we're going to go to Antelope Canyon, near Sedona/Page in Arizona. Those are like quick weekend trips. We just came from St. Lucia, so we need something different to round up, if you will, the experience this year.
That is fantastic. Enjoy the travel, Sanjay. I really want to thank you for being our Maverick number two on the podcast. I'm sure our listeners will enjoy this and they will have plenty of questions for you. So we will definitely have a follow-up session where we will do a panel with our Mavericks, and we will love to see you again on the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and talk soon.
Thank you.